Hi everybody and welcome. I'm Nathan from Speak Your Truth. We're going to have a look at trading crypto like a pro just for a weekly update. Coming up very close to the end of January. So we're going to jump in and have a look, of course, at some news to get an idea of what to expect potentially for the week ahead. But first of all, let's have a look at the technicals on this Bitcoin against the US dollar. I'm potentially looking for a sell trading opportunity here. I'll just explain it very briefly. So we're seeing these lower tops come in all the way down. That means the sellers are accepting less than they previously were, all the way from about 20,000 down to about 17, all the way down to about 12. And now we're looking at potentially another lower top exactly around that $12,035. So what does it all mean? Well, see this bottom here? This bottom where the buyers were so keen to buy it, like they thought, wow, that's a bargain, that's now becoming a top, okay? That enforces this downtrend. So I've drawn a trend line in across these bottoms, and if I get a break of that trend line, that potentially gives me a high probability trade to the sell side. It's pretty straightforward, and I'll put a stop somewhere around this sort of 12,500, or if you've got the risk appetite, you can put it up around this previous top there, around this 13,000, sort of 13,500 as well. All right, so what's our downside projection? Well, again, we don't know, but this thing could eventually come all the way down somewhere around, I'm looking around these tops here, around this 8,000 level. All right, so it's looking pretty weak at this stage. If you're a CFD trader, this looks like a fantastic opportunity on the short side. Okay, now it looks like it's almost ready to set up, but we'll just have to wait and see, and don't jump in too early. All right, so let's have a look at, and the other thing I wanted to show you is, we'll have a look at some moving averages, really simple way to get an idea of when things are starting to change, all right? It's all good to say it now, it looks really weak, but let's just have a look. We'll look at a 50-day moving average. So your 50-day moving average is just this black line, all right? It averages out all the price over an exponential of 50 days. It's pretty straightforward, and you can see all the way up, price goes up, comes down, almost touches it. Continually, it's above the 50-day moving average. In other words, it's going up. But then we started to see price go below the 50-day moving average, close back above it, and now we're starting to see it's consistently below this 50-day moving average. Very negative sign. So then what I use, I'll also use on a simple trading strategy, I'll use the 30-day as well. So the 30-day moving average is just sort of this more maroon type color. All right, so what we're seeing there is you can see where it crosses above. So where price actually crosses above, and you've got the 30 above the 50, that gives us a nice indication that it's in an uptrend. Now we're starting to see this cross down, all right? Another really negative sign, okay? So you could use that in conjunction with this setup there and say to yourself, hey, you know what, there's a high probability that things are on the way down. All right, I'll just take those back off very quickly. All right, now let's move down and have a look at Bitcoin Gold. All right, so we'll have a look at Bitcoin Gold. Now again, just to recap, we talked about this $400, $420 was the top in the range, and then of course we were down around this $200 level, where at $200 was a magical level. People thought, what a bargain, and you can see that happening all the way through over the last number of months. Now it's doing something very similar, of course, to Bitcoin, okay, against the US dollar, and you can see it's now gone below this this magical level where people want to buy, and of course that's where people are actually starting to sell. All right, another really negative sign. So again, I'm looking for some trading opportunities to the downside. We'll throw that 30-50 on and just see what it says. So I'm going to put the 50 on first. So you can see here, and of course it's only been around for a short period of time. The 50 only starts here because it takes sort of 50 days to get an average. And you can see here, so price is below this 50-day moving average, and then we'll stick in the 30. And maybe I'll need to click on it. Okay, so it'll put in the 30, and you can see here again, see how it's crossed below it? Okay, it looks very negative indeed. All right, so I'll just get rid of those two very quickly. It's a really easy signal to have a look and just see how price is traveling. All right, let's move down now onto XRP. Actually, just before we do that, I want to give you an idea of what I'm seeing in the news. And there's just been a lot of negative news out as well. We used to have lots of positive news coming out. Oh, you know, this bank is taking on this coin, or you know, you had all these people are buying cars and houses, etc. Now what we're seeing, and don't get me wrong, I hate news.com. I mean, I just can't stand News Corp. This could all be fake, but I've actually confirmed this across the board. So you can see here, without this, Bitcoin price would collapse, and it's fears growing over this Tether printing press. Okay, so auditors have started to jump out. It's supposed to be $1 tethered, of course, and they're saying that those US dollars potentially aren't there. And we've seen a correlation between, you know, when the tether starts to go up and Bitcoin prices going down, and there's this sort of correlation happening. So fairly negative news. Have a read of it. I'm simplifying it, of course, but have a read of that. This morning, of course, we had this whole situation here where we've seen Japan come out saying, look, they've been hacked. There's been a total crypto hack. All right, it's bigger than Mt Gox. They're talking about 533 million. That's going to make people feel a little bit unsafe. Now, I know it's your own fault if you leave large amounts, obviously, sitting around in these exchanges. But the fact is, it promotes this idea that it's not safe. All right, and I know this goes along nicely with the whole PSYOP theory. All right, that they just want everybody, you know, all these big banking systems and central banks. They literally just want all the bugs ironed out. Then they'll come in, they'll smash the you know, the digital currencies or cryptocurrencies that are sitting on top of the blockchain, and say, all right, now we've got protocols that can't be hacked, and now we've got protocols that are going to be far more effective, whether it's to do with the exchange or, of course, sitting on top of that blockchain technology. Now, you've got this other story here where they're saying, you know, major payment operator will bail on all Bitcoin transactions by late April. And this is the news on Stripe. All right, check that story out as well. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because it's just like so many connected bad stories as the price starts to go down. And that's just going to operate on people's minds. Why? Because people aren't that educated. A lot of the participants that have entered the market aren't that educated, okay? And the only thing they get to hang on to, it's like religion. The only thing they get to hang on to is hodl. You know, a hodl will save you. You've just got to have faith and all this kind of thing. I don't like those ideas at all. All right, so we'll have a look at XRP. Now, looking at XRP, it again is following this trend, all right? And it's supposed to be a totally different scenario, isn't it? But we did talk about this 120 level. I predicted it as a potential level where it'd find support up around sort of, I think it was about, you know, around the $2 level. I can't remember. You have to look back on the previous videos. But we talked about this $1.20 level, and you can see here, it got down around this $1.20. It tried to spike below, and of course it couldn't do it. All right, the buying support was there. And the problem was, though, we said if you're going to start buying into this, you've got to make sure as soon as it moves up that you get risk out of your trade, because this could be a dead cat bounce. This could be a dead cat bounce followed by a total washout, all right, which we saw in tech stocks, we saw in biotech stocks and so forth. So at this point, it's putting in these lower tops. I really want to see it hang on to this $1.20 level. If it starts to fall below this $1.20 level, then this thing could be going south also. All right, but at the moment, we've got to have at least some kind of faith, right? And be like, all right, let's keep a close eye on this, because if it does hold here, we could be looking for a buying opportunity if it breaks above this this trend line, which we'll look at a later video. But right now, I got to say, this Ripple is looking really weak indeed. All right, let's move on to Ethereum. Now, there's got to be some good news that we're looking at here, and Ethereum, for me, is probably the only bit of good news that I'm seeing. And you know, there's good news here. We saw a huge sell-off. That was the point where I showed you on previous videos a great entry point for a buy, and then up it went. Okay, so around this top becoming a bottom at the moment is irrelevant. Why? Because it's putting in higher tops. It's fantastic. It's putting in these higher tops. Let's have a look and use our 30-50 here. So I'm going to put the 50-day moving average on it. Look at that. Beautiful. Price is above. Remember, price is above this 50-day moving average. Let's have a look at the 30. And look, it's even above the 30 at the moment. So if you're a hodler, this is the one to be hodling, all right? this thing is at the moment, it's looking positive. It's climbing this wall of worry. It's putting in higher tops. Things are looking pretty good there. So no real buying opportunity at the moment. We're looking for this. Obviously, it's going to pull back. We're looking for a solid base. At the moment, it's even putting in higher bottoms. All positive stuff. I like it. Okay, at the moment, everything would be suggesting probability-wise this thing's going potentially higher. All right, Litecoin. Let's finish off and have a look at Litecoin. Ooh, look at that. That 30 is crossing below that 50. It hasn't done it yet, all right? But it's looking really weak indeed. Lots of lower tops all the way down on Litecoin. This thing looks horrendous, and it looks like it's going lower at the moment. Remember, folks, the big story at the moment is this US dollar. It is absolutely getting smashed. It's had its worst start, to a year, and last year it came off 10%. And of course, there's talk about Chinese bonds not being bought. The Chinese aren't going to buy the US bonds. There's lots of reasons. Donald Trump just wants a lower currency, even though they're raising interest rates, and the projection is that's the thing I'm keeping a really close eye on. What the hell is going on with this US dollar? And we'll have a talk about that potentially in our next video. That's all from me, everyone.